Hello, hello. I'm gonna check to make sure that we are live in the group, so bear with me here. Oh, good, we are live. Okay, just want to make sure. So we will wait here for just a few minutes for if anybody's on here tonight. We got 1 minute left, a little early. Just wanted to make sure I didn't have any technical difficulties getting on time. Okay. Well, it is 6 o'clock straight up Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I realize that my glasses are causing a reflection. There we go. There we go. All right. So, wanted to, it's going to drive me crazy. Okay. So tonight we're talking about intermittent fasting and what it is and what it isn't, and who should do it, who shouldn't do it, all the things. So just real quick, if you are watching this live, comment live. If you're watching this as a replay, comment replay, and let me know where you're watching it from. I'm just curious where all our viewers are tonight. So if you have done intermittent fasting, or you think you've done intermittent fasting in the past, put a 1 in the comments. So let's talk about what intermittent fasting is, and how it's different than regular fasting. Okay, so as the name states, intermittent fasting means that you're doing it for periods of time off and on. Okay, so it's not continuous. A continuous fast is just that, it's fasting. And to differentiate between a continuous fast and intermittent fasting, once when you are fasting 24 hours, then at that point you're doing a fast and not an intermittent fast. Now, there are different categories of fasting. And so one thing I want to make very clear is that just because you're doing the intermittent fasting doesn't mean that you can go hog wild for your window of eating and exceed your calorie count. So I know that I've had clients in the past who would do intermittent fasting, and they would do, and we'll talk about the different ones, but they were doing 16-8, and during those 8 hours of being able to eat, they were eating everything from, birthday cake and pizza and everything else, and way exceeding their calorie count. So you still have to watch what goes in, what comes out, as far as exercise and that sort of thing, even though you are doing restricted eating. And that's another thing, is you'll hear the term restricted eating and intermittent fasting, and depending on who you talk to, they're kind of the same, but they're kind of not. So there's a lot of different things that go into fasting, and I want to make it clear that you don't have to do fasting to be successful in this program, or with our activators. Okay, there are, I don't want to call them cheats, but they're enhancements. Okay, and so intermittent fasting, if you do, and there are things like juice fasts, which they call them juice fasts, but are they really fasting? Because they're taking in calories. So there's discussion there. Same thing if you are getting calories from bone broth. Bone broth probably doesn't have as many calories or as much sugar as the juices, so that's not as intense, but you get the idea. So let's talk a little bit about what the different types of fasting there are. So There's the 16-8 method, okay? And that's the most common, and where you are not eating for 16 hours and then you are eating for 8 hours, okay? And you're eating all your meals within that 8-hour window. This is probably the easiest and most common way to do fasting. Now, not everybody can do it right away. I know when I first started to fast for 16 hours was difficult. And so you have to build up to it. So start with everybody should be doing at least a 12-hour fast. And that's part of what has contributed to our high amounts of insulin resistance in this country, is that we're not fasting for 12 hours. So if you go to bed, if you stop eating at 7 o'clock at night, because you should stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bedtime to get optimal sleep, and lots of other reasons, but you should give yourself at least 3 hours before bedtime to stop eating. And if you, let's say you stop eating at 7 and you get up at 7, there's 12 hours, okay? But the problem is that, and I used to be guilty of this, you know, you eat until bedtime and then you get up and you start eating again. You don't have time for your body to completely digest what you had before. And so that leads to a little bit of insulin resistance and weight gain and that sort of thing. So you want to start with a 12-hour fast. 7 to 7, 8 to 8, 9 to 9, whatever your lifestyle dictates. Then each week you can add an hour or even 30 minutes. In the beginning, I had to only add 30-minute increments, and I was watching the clock, right? So you can start with a 12-hour fast, add in increments of a half an hour until you get up to that 16-hour mark. You'll find your sweet spot where it becomes super easy. And so you can do that. Then there's a different one called Eat, Stop, Eat. And essentially what you're doing is you are doing a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. So, you know, you have a long weekend, you do your thing, and on Mondays you fast. Then you eat again Tuesday, Wednesday, and then maybe on Thursday you fast. So that's called Eat, Stop, Eat. Some people find that once when they start eating, it's just really hard to stop. And so that's where this GLP-1 is going to come in handy. I'm so excited. But so, you know, you can do that method where you eat, stop, eat. Then there is the 5 and 2. So where you follow a regular diet, you monitor your macros and do whatever diet you feel is appropriate for you for 5 days. And then you do a dramatic reduction in calories for 2 days. So if your normal base calories is, we'll just use the standard American textbook answer of 2,000 calories in a day. So you would do 2,000 calories, let's say Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday you would only do 1,200 calories. So it's not a complete fast, but it's a dramatic drop in calories, and that kicks your body into a different rhythm as well. So there's a little bit of, I like to use the term, and I didn't coin this, but I like to use it, is metabolic confusion. And so there's some benefits to metabolic confusion, and that's where this 5 and 2 process comes into play. There are others that will do every other day as a complete fast, or the one that is becoming pretty common, at least in those that do like carnivore diet, is doing OMAD. And what OMAD stands for is 1 meal a day. Okay, so essentially you're fasting for 20 hours, and then you have your 4-hour window where you snack or eat a really large meal, and try to cram everything in that 4 hours. And so there's not a one size fits all. Okay, just like there's not a one size fits all type of diet, there's not a one size fits all if you're choosing to use fasting as a tool. Fasting is only a tool. It is not meant as a diet per se. It is a tool in your toolbox. Just like using our activators, just like anything else. It's a tool in your toolbox. So there's not a one size fits all scenario. So let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits of fasting. So obviously, the one that is most attractive to those of us in the group right now is the weight loss aspect. And so intermittent fasting can aid in weight loss by reducing your calorie intake and enhancing hormone function to facilitate weight loss. So basically, it's helping your insulin stabilize a little bit. Okay, so that's one thing. There's a research, and I'm reading off my notes here. Intermittent fasting may lead to increased metabolic rate, so it can increase the amount that you burn, right? Kind of rev your engines, if you will, allowing your body to burn more calories even at rest, which is pretty cool. There's also evidence that it can lead to a decrease in insulin levels, which allows your body to burn more stored fat, which we all like to get rid of. Some of that visceral fat, that stored fat, that's the dangerous fat. That's the fat that's around your internal organs. That's the one that causes the more chronic and more severe conditions. So getting rid of the visceral fat is going to be a big help for chronic disease prevention and obviously slowing down aging. There was a review published in Nutrition, it's the magazine Nutrition Reviews, highlighted that it takes between 5 and 20 days of prolonged fasting to see a weight loss of 2 to 10% of a person's total body weight. So it's not a quick fix. Nothing should be really a quick fix. You still have to do all of the lifestyle adjustments, monitoring your sleep, getting your exercise, hydration, stress reduction, all the things. Again, these are just tools in your toolbox. Okay? Let's talk a little bit about metabolic dysfunction or metabolic health. So, metabolic health is how well your body breaks down the food you eat and converts it into energy. We all want that food energy. So, it refers to markers including optimal body mass index, BMI, okay, cholesterol, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels. So, metabolic dysfunction or poor metabolic health is a contributor to many chronic illnesses and can cause diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. So if you flip that into reverse by doing, the intermittent fasting or something similar and getting your hormones in check, or your metabolic rate revved up, you're, again, trying to reverse or prevent some of these chronic diseases. So then let's talk about a word called autophagy. So autophagy, if you use an analogy like Pac-Man, so autophagy is eating those dots. It's cleaning up the trash, and it's helping to help with cell signaling. Okay, and that's essentially. So autophagy is a process in the body that involves destruction of cells. It allows the body to rid itself of damaged cells and regenerate new ones. So your body turns over. You are not the same cells now that you were 30 to 45 days ago. Now, your whole body, I think it takes something like 7 years for your whole body to turn over. But individual, like red blood cells, take anywhere between 35 and 45 days to flip. So that's why whenever you start a new product, whether you start a new regimen, whatever, you need to give it time to do its thing, because your body it has to do its flip. It has to turn over. Okay? So it's like a self-cleaning oven within cells that helps with maintaining their function. Autophagy has been linked to various health benefits, including the potential to protect against certain diseases and promoting longevity. Woohoo! Somebody mentioned in a podcast or something the other day talking about the person who is going to live to 1,000 years old. Whoa. Pretty cool. They think that they can do that now. So, here we go. We're on this ride, right? Additionally, impaired autography may lead to an accelerated aging and decline in cellular health. So, fasting periods of at least 16 to 18 hours can initiate autophagy, with the process becoming more pronounced as the fasting window extends. So, you're cleaning up the trash. So if you don't put more in, it can clean up even more, right? So the longer you fast, the more cleanup it can do, and that's that autophagy, right? So super important. Now I will tell you that one of our LifeVantage activators, the NAD Synergizer, does the same thing. It mimics autophagy by the sirtuin theory of aging. So it essentially helps with cell signaling and cleaning out the trash and all that stuff. And you don't have to do intermittent fasting in order to achieve the benefit. However, if you do both, there's your double whammy. Bonus! Okay. So let's talk about the benefits of intermittent fasting on oxidative stress. So oxidative stress, I don't know if we've talked about it in this group specifically, but essentially it's your body, when the body's free radicals and antioxidant levels are out of balance. So you have too many free radicals and not enough antioxidants, then you get that trash keeps building up, right? And so this imbalance can lead to cellular and tissue damage, inflammation, and cellular aging, chronic oxidative stress, which we all have. So if you're breathing, you're creating oxidative stress because anything you do has a byproduct, right? And whether that byproduct is a helpful or a hindrance. And so you just have to keep that in mind. But chronic oxidative stress is a driver of many chronic diseases. Fasting for 16 to 24 hours can activate pathways that enhance cellular resistance to stress. Again, so you're doing the fasting 16 to 24 hours, it's going to activate that cellular pathway, that autophagy that I just mentioned, as well as lowering the oxidative stress. Again, if you're not a consistent faster or you just can't do it for various reasons, and we'll talk about some of those reasons in a minute, then using the activators, the NRF2 and the NAD that we offer, can mimic this without having to actually fast. So I continue here. A study published in 2019 in the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology suggests that prolonged nighttime fasting without altering daily caloric or dietary intake may improve antioxidant production or antioxidant capacity. So that's like what I was talking about, starting at 7 p.m. and fasting until 7 a.m. That's that nighttime fasting window, that 12 hours there. So if you take it just an hour or two before, so if you go 5 p.m., so you eat your dinner and then stop, and then don't break your fast until 9 a.m., there you go. Okay? So there's ways to juggle things to where it flows with your daily activities, and it's not going to seem as treacherous to start, because I know that it was a big deal for me when I first did it. Also reduced oxidative stress in the heart and brain. So the intermittent fasting, when you do it at least at 16 hours, can help reduce the oxidative stress in your heart and in your brain. So that brain fog that you hear a lot of people talking about, that comes into play. That's essentially oxidative stress. And there again, if you don't fast long enough, you're not cleaning out the trash, things back up, then you get a little fuzzy. Intermittent fasting, like I said, improve brain function and potentially reduce the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. So your Alzheimer's, your Parkinson's, your MS, all of those are all impacted by oxidative stress, and fasting or taking an activator that mimics fasting will help clear out that trash. It talks also about benefits on mental health, especially stress, anxiety, and depression. So I know a lot of people who do the fasting notice that they have lots more mental clarity. And the longer they go, the more mental clarity they gain. And you'll hear people like Dr. Mark Hyman talk about that when he does his extended fast, he gets crystal clear in his brain. And so trying to do a 24-hour fast every once in a while might offer you some, if you're starting to get a little hazy, have some big decisions to make, things of that nature, doing a fast might actually help you in that department. It also increases the generation of brain-derived neurotropic factor, or BDNF, which is strongly linked to improved cognitive function. So if you have ADHD or anything of that has a cognitive impact, doing the fasting, again, clearing out the trash, allowing the body to work how it's designed to. Okay. Cardiometabolic, we talked about that. The alternate day fasting and the 5 and 2 diet and the time restricted eating may lower blood pressure. So one of the things that I coach on pretty regularly is women's holistic heart health. So we use the fasting method to help lower blood pressure. Okay. So it also talks about decreasing insulin resistance and oxidative stress, which we've already discussed. So let's talk about you. There was some questions I should probably talk about gut health, huh? Since we got a lot of gut health going on here. Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2021 found that after fasting for 16 hours a day for the entirety of the month of Ramadan, okay, so 30 days, I think it is, or 40 days, participants had higher levels of beneficial bacteria in the gut. And once the fasting period ended at the end of the month, the levels returned to baseline. So that's interesting that when they were fasting, they had the good bacteria, but when they broke the fast, then the good bacteria got smothered, damaged, who knows what. So that goes back to the quality of the food that we're eating, the things that we're putting in, watching chemicals and things of that. Lotions on your skin actually impact your gut health. So I digress, but just wanted to share that. So there were some questions in the group that I wanted to specifically address. There is a book that was mentioned, and it is a fantastic book. It's called Fast Like a Girl. And she talks a lot about the different types of fasting you should do in relation to your cycle. So let's back up here for just a second. Fasting isn't the same for somebody who's having their cycles, having their periods. It's different for those that are in perimenopause. It's different for those who are in menopause. It's different for men, okay? Men and menopausal women are probably the closest to the same, but they may not be identical, okay? And there's a lot of nuances to fasting for women depending on where they are in their cycles. I don't want to stretch this video out that long. I would highly encourage you to read the book Fast Like a Girl. If you are a cycling woman or a perimenopausal woman, she does a great job of breaking down when you should fast and what kind of fast you should do. I will tell you that we discourage, if you are in that month, in that week of the month, that you don't fast, because it's increasing your cortisol levels and making the oxidative stress worse. So that's a quick, easy little tidbit that if you want to try the intermittent fasting, go for it. But don't, if you're having cycles still, don't do it the week of your cycle. Okay? And the week before that, we would discourage a long fast. You can do the shorter fast, the 16-8, or the 5 and 2 kind of thing. But you want to just make sure you read the book. The book is great. And if you're still confused by it, feel free to reach out or talk to your primary care doc or your gynecologist. Although you might be better off finding like a functional medicine or restorative medicine or integrative medicine practitioner, because not a lot of your traditional medicine providers really get training in this sort of thing. So if it doesn't involve medications, then they don't get a whole lot of training. So, and I can say that because I am an ER nurse and I work with these docs all the time. So, the other question was fasting day or night, the timing. So we talked about the fact that the nighttime fast might have some benefits. However, I will tell you this, that up until now, because I'm not on a GLP-1, I'm not in the activator trial group, and I've not been on a GLP-1 product in a very long time, that if you have cravings, like I'm a big time nighttime eater, right? Like I can fast all day long and not think twice about it. But when the sun goes down, by golly, my gremlin comes out and it's like, eat, 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 eat. So, fasting at night's challenging for me. So I try to, in order to break that habit, I intentionally try to fast like mid-afternoon so that I can shift the gremlins, if you will. So you can use, again, it's a tool. It is not required for weight loss or fat loss. You can lose fat without doing intermittent fasting, but it's a tool. And how you choose to use the tool is up to you. The other one is you want to make sure that when you're breaking your fast, so you've done your 16 hours and it's time to eat, it is important to know what's good for you to eat during that breaking of the fast. So we talked in previous weeks about protein. I would encourage you to start with a good lean protein source or a clean protein source to break your fast. And then, because that'll help again with the cortisol and that sort of thing. And then, and if you're not a big protein eater, you can also do like smoothies, eggs, bone broth, that sort of thing. But you want to you don't want to go from nothing to a ribeye and, a million veggies or whatever right out of the gate. Okay. So progressively ramp up. You want your largest meal to be in the middle of your eating window. Okay. So, hopefully I have answered some of the questions that you guys had and got you interested in learning more about intermittent fasting and giving you some tools to give it a try. Leave in the comments below. Let me know which one of the fasting methods you're going to try, if you're going to try any, whether you're going to do the 16-8, whether you're going to do the 5 and 2, whether you're going to do OMAD, alternating days. Let me know which one either you do currently or you'd like to try. And if you're like, fasting is not for me, but you want the benefits, let whoever invited you to this group, let them know, and they'll help you get on the NAD Synergizer and the NRF2, because those two together will help simulate the fasting response in the body. So hopefully that's answered your questions. If you have any more, please let me know, and I will talk to you all later. Enjoy the rest of this group, guys. You're doing this, and the GLP-1 pricing just came out today, so ask whoever brought you to this group. Ask them for more information. It's good.